Plug music is a trap subgenre, defined by heavy bass, ambient piano progressions, sparse drums, and a variety of synths, from airy ethereal pads to more focused icy bell tones. The Plug sound was pioneered by BeatPluggz producers like MexikoDro in the mid-2010s. Let's get into the cook-up. I opened up this piano in Analog Lab, and I'm going to lay down some extended chords. From here, I'm just fixing up the chords. My thought process behind this progression was that I'd start on D, play the 3rd scale degree of the D minor scale, then the 5th scale degree of the F minor scale, which just happens to be the tonic of the scale we're in. At first, I wanted to end the progression with A minor, which would be the 5 relative to the D, but I didn't like how that sounded, so I decided to go with G major, which is the 5th scale degree of the C scale, and the 4th in D, which should bridge the gap between C and D nicely. I intentionally made sure that the progression didn't start or end on the tonic, because that would give it a stronger sense of direction. And the idea here is to create a vibe that sounds somewhat directionless and sort of like you're floating. Anyway, here's what the chords sound like after I fixed them up. I cut the lows with an EQ and added some reverb. Here's what the chords sound like now. Next, I opened up this bell preset, and I began laying down some notes. The idea here was to have a pattern that sounds similar to an ARP. The reason I didn't use an ARP is because they tend to be extremely repetitive, and I wanted slightly more variation in the melody than a typical ARP preset would allow. Here's what I came up with. I cut some harsh frequencies, cut the lows, added a panning effect, and added some reverb. Here's what the bells sound like now. I opened up this preset in Nexus, and I laid down some notes. Here's what the melodies sound like all together. Now it's time to add some drums. First, we'll come up with an 808 melody. Now we'll clean everything up and quantize the notes. Here's what it sounds like. I added some hats. I laid down a snare. I added this perk. I added a shaker. I layered the 808 with a kick. I made this perk pattern for the end of each bar. And I'm using this transition sound throughout the beat. Here's what the drums sound like all together. Alright, now we're gonna add some quick lyrics to the beat. Let's see what we've come up with.
Jamie the beat, so we mixing them perfect.
I'm on a Waluigi, rich water Fiji. Bitch wanna meet me.